Yeah, college football world changing, constantly evolving, and I don't think it has changed or evolved faster or more than with this addition to the sport. NIL. I mean, the transfer portal's been here, G, but the NIL aspect of the transfer portal, that haven't been here. That's one of those things that's kind of picking up and getting a lot of people interested. You got the man on the left of this graphic, Carson Beck, getting paid a whopping $4 million to travel to Miami and replace Cam Ward and Cristobal's offense. Quinn Ayers, the rumor was $8 million was the offer for him in the NIL world. He obviously went to the NFL to try and go get that check, but gee, you got a lot of names that we can offer. Breaking news just got dropped that teams are ringing the phone of Jeremiah Smith to give him about $5 million to enter the transfer portal after winning a national championship. Bryce Underwood getting $20 million. Are these young kids worth it? I mean, Carson Beck and Quinn, they're not young, but in the sense of Jeremiah, in the sense of Bryce, it's early to give them that type of valuation, at least for me. And then I feel like I don't know what you do to stop this. It's so far gone to the point now where the values are the values. I feel like if the number one overall recruit this year would want to flip, maybe he doesn't get 20 like Bryce. But now, since Bryce got 20, that price rises and rises and rises. You know how it is. I mean, like, everybody's competitive. Everybody talks. Everybody wants to be the highest paid. Everybody wants to break the records and get the most dough. I feel like the more these checks get cut, G, the slimier the situation gets. Do you put a salary cap on it? Like, what's going to be the way that this gets tapered and eventually slowed down?
I do think some of these numbers are fabricated. Like, I don't believe that all these kids getting offered that amount of money. I just don't believe it, especially with the different people I've talked to that's in this NIL world and at some of these schools, and even some people in the personnel department at some of these schools. A lot of these numbers are embellished, and it is it's getting to the point where like people just throwing around like, yeah, they offered him $12 million. Like, bro, $12 million? Come on, man. We gotta stop.
That's
And
NFL money.
that's wild to me. That's insane to me. To give somebody like Carson Beck $4 million, what has Carson Beck done for you to say we're gonna give him $4 million?
Not a whole lot.
He looked like a shell of himself this year. Not
Mm-hmm.
saying he's not a good quarterback, but everybody was saying he was gonna be a top 5, top 10 pick. He looked
Right,
nowhere
yeah,
near it
right.
this year. So
No way.
Miami gives you $4 million. I just don't believe he got $4 million. That's just my personal opinion. There ain't nothing nobody told me. I just don't think he got $4 million. I think he did get a good bit of money, but I don't think it was to that degree. Uh, I do think that the NCAA got to put a salary cap on this, man. It's getting ridiculous. And like we talked about with LSU issues, it's hard to compete with a Texas, Oregon, the schools in Florida, Ohio State. It's hard to like go toe to toe with the money portion, because it's just a blank check when you talk about these schools and I mean some of the money they throwing around, bro. So they got to put a salary cap on it to kind of make it an even playing field. If not, there's gonna be the wild, wild west for a long, long time. And uh, Jeremiah Smith, people trying to offer him $4 million to get in the portal. Man, he would be stupid to lead that situation. Ohio State has put out a plethora of receivers over the last 5 to 10 years, guys that's flourishing in the NFL. And like I said a number of times, bro, think about the long term. Don't think about the short term. Stay there
Right.
with Brian Hartline, who is one of the best receiver coaches in the country that knows how to develop and keep on getting you to get better at your game. Because even though he was so good this year, it's some things Jeremiah Smith could work on. If he goes somewhere else and takes that $4 million, guess what? They're not gonna want to tell him nothing to get him mad. They're not gonna want to hold him accountable. Right? You understand? And the reason
Mm-hmm.
why, because we're paying you $4 million and we don't want you to get upset with us. So stay where you at. You're gonna get the ball. You're gonna be the number one guy next year. You kind of was the number one guy in a sense this year. It just doesn't make sense. I would hope that him and his family understand the grand scheme and the big picture behind this and stay put at Ohio State.
And another thing I'm thinking of too, I mean, gee, if they're gonna pay you $4 million, I feel like to me that's a desperation move. To me, they might not be at a point like an Ohio State. I mean, dude, you just put a ring on your finger, bro. You shouldn't anywhere else is either a lateral move or a step down. More often than not, it's a step down. If they're cutting that big of a check, they're not in a spot where they're competitive because most competitive teams aren't going to want to step on toes of players that they're already paying. And then to your point about the money and like the numbers being fabricated, I completely believe it. You're in a world now where the NIL agents, I'm not gonna call them sharks, but gee, sometimes they're sharks, bro. The NFL agents are like what 5%. Some of these damn NIL agents in the college world, like 15%. They're over here taking a hell of a lot of money, just out here getting the biggest deal, just out here trying to get paid, get bread. And then another thing with the numbers being fabricated, if you're lying and saying that they're getting 5, other teams now feel the pressure, and they raise their offer. So it's 100% a cat and mouse game. And you really never know what to believe or like who to trust in this instance. It's getting grimy.
And that's another part of this that's messing this college game up. These agents that's trying to negotiate for these kids to get NIL money, and they trying to get 20%, 30% off the top. That's really messing the game up. Let me tell you something, bro. And I don't have no problem admitting this or saying this on the show. I've helped a number of kids with NIL deals, and I ain't taking nothing off the top. I let that kid get all of his money because I'm not doing it for that. And I think parents need to understand, kids need to understand, bro, you don't need an agent to go negotiate what you get for NIL. You and your parents do your research or talk to somebody that understands that space to help you with that. Because taking 20, 30% off of the NIL deal, I just don't agree with. I'm not saying the guys that's doing it, that makes them a bad person, because, that's your line of work. You got to do what you got to do to provide for your family. But in my opinion, when these college coaches and these people in these personnel departments see these agents trying to like strong arm them because they know they really trying to get their 30%, and so they trying to drive the number up, it's just messing the integrity up of the relationship between the player and the coach.
Yep.
And that's what's messing everything up, bro. When I've been in these negotiations with some kids that I've helped with their NIL deals, it's strictly about the kid. I have no hidden agenda. I'm not trying to get nothing out of it. I'm just strictly trying to make sure the kid get what he's worth, and make sure he's taken care of accordingly. And that's my mindset. And I think parents or somebody in their family has to get on board and start educating themselves and informing themselves so they can go do that and stop using these agents to go talk to these college coaches for them and kind of tarnishing their relationship between the two. And now you won't know why your child's in the transfer portal year after year. Well, it's because the integrity is gone. Y'all using an agent to come negotiate with us. How about y'all come sit down as a family and talk to me or talk to somebody in my personnel department or whoever is making the decisions for us NIL, and we come to some kind of agreements. That way, the 20%, 30% that somebody's trying to take off, that's not even in the equation, right?
Yep.
Now we're just talking about what I'm worth and me getting paid accordingly. And I think if parents and people that's around the kid that has their best interest, right? If they start doing that and doing business the right way, you will see less of all this, less turmoil that you're seeing around the country in college sports right now, in my opinion.
I definitely agree. And I think, what you were talking about with having the right, morals and values and just leading the kid in the direction that they should be led in, that's the way to do it. Because, even at an institutional level, LSU with the NILSU stuff, they're trying to educate them. They're trying to be their advocate. They're trying to be they're trying to get them in a spot where, like we were saying, they're not having sharks in the water just looking for bread. You know what I mean? Because if you have a middleman that is on your side and still trying to communicate for you, still trying to get you the best deal, most kids not going to understand the money aspect of it, how much money is going to be going, the taxes aspect of it. There's so many different things that you get taught in these programs, like at the LSU stuff. I feel like that's going to be how you kind of ease this transition, but not every program or university has this. Like if you're going to a school in a mid-level, or like, let's say, Darian Mensah, the Tulane quarterback that just moved to Duke. Duke got like $3 to $4 million. Not saying Duke don't have the best programs. They've been winning national championships hand over fist in basketball, but it's just a simple fact that it's like this kid went from this much money to millions of dollars. This dude only did it, more than likely the agent only did it to get money for himself. But there's a whole different aspect to getting a kid this much money. Not only do you have to get him the money, but I feel like personally you should teach him what to do with it. You should teach him how to save it. You should teach him how to at least understand what comes with that, because it's not as easy as just having bread. Your tag bracket is different. This is different. That's different. So many different things. And lastly, I want to talk about H-Town Creoles in the chat. He brought up a pretty good point. He was just saying that Jaden Daniels' salary is about $10 million, right? And you got players in college creeping up on stuff like that. And Jaden Daniels aside, there's other quarterbacks, Bo Nix. I mean, there's a bunch of different handfuls of guys, Anthony Richardson. They're starting quarterbacks in pro football that aren't making as much as these kids. I mean, we got the damn CEO of Oracle, Larry Ellison, giving money to Bryce Underwood to get him to Michigan. Dude, they're doing a $500 billion AI investment in the United States. You know how much money Larry Ellison can spend? I mean, this is an endless pool.
Man, look, when all this was going on with Bryce Underwood, I was one of the first ones to come out and say, I'm not about to pay somebody that's unproven, that hasn't played a down in college football, $2.5 million a year. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And listen, I've been around Bryce Underwood. I've evaluated him. I think he has a chance to be really, really good. I think he has a chance to be a first-round pick one day. He has that kind of ability, the measurables. He has all the tools, the athleticism. I think he has the mental makeup from me being around him. People I know that's played with him in 7-on-7 and had played with him at camps. They say the same thing. I know some college coaches that have gotten him on the board and got to see his football knowledge and his IQ and how he breaks down coverages and route concepts. And they say he was on point with that. But with that being said, he still hasn't played a down yet, bro. We don't know how this is gonna play out. The pressure might be too big once he starts playing in college. We don't know. We don't know. And now you didn't sign up to get this guy $2.5 million. That's ridiculous. When it started getting past $1 million, I just thought that it was ridiculous. You know, if I was a university and I was recruiting Bryce Underwood, I probably would have given him $1 million. But once it became a bidding war from $1 million to 1.3 to 1.5 to 2 to 2.5, then I'm like, no, we're not doing this. Because that extra $1.5 million that we paying him, we could be paying that, breaking it up into getting 4 or 5 other players on our team to make our roster better. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not about to allocate that kind of money to somebody that's unproven that never played a down in college football. And we got these schools got to stop being that thirsty and being naive to the fact that there've been a lot of top ranked kids come out of high school and go to college and don't pan out. And you'll be pissing down your leg if that end up happening after you decide to get this kid $2.5 million a year.
I agree. And then this is another good point. We got our guy Creole in the chat just talking about the morale around the locker room when one person's been there for a while and the other person just came in and they're getting 2 times the money as them. I mean, there's a whole culture aspect and chemistry aspect to making sure the emotions of the players are going to be in check. I mean, this is a grimy world, G.